Hello everyone, I am Bikshumaya Chalakani, Assistant Professor of Physics from Government Degree College for Women, Nalgonda. In this video, I am going to explain the rigid body dynamics. So, what is a rigid body? How many types of motions are there? There are two types, translational and rotational motions. We see the definitions of those motions and examples and the equations of motions in rotational motion and how they are analogous to the equations of motions in translational motion. So we see these things in this lecture. So we see now one by one. So rigid body dynamics. What is a rigid body? A body which does not undergo any change in shape or size by the application of external force. If we apply some force, if there is no change in size or shape of the body, so that body is called a rigid body. Or we can say in other words, a body in which the distance between any two particles is constant in all conditions, that body is called a rigid body. That means the distance between two particles in the body does not change in all conditions. That means even if we apply the force and as time progresses and at any condition, if the distance between two particles does not change, then the body is said to be a rigid body. Now, so it is only an ideal concept. The concept of rigid body is an ideal concept. We do not find the 100% rigid body in practice. So, free system. If the particles of the system are allowed to have any velocity and occupy any position, then the system is called a free system. So, in a system, the particles can attain any position and any velocity. That means the particle can attain any position means they can move anywhere and they can attain any speed also. So in that case, the system is said to be free system. So another one is constrained system. So if the particles of the system are not allowed to have any velocity and occupy any position, then the system is called constrained system. So there is some condition or constraint in attaining the position and the velocity. Okay, that system is called a constrained system. So rigid body is an example for a constrained system. Now the translational motion, if a if each particle of the body undergoes the same displacement in the same direction in any time interval, we say that the body is in translation motion. So that means, so if the body is in motion, if every the displacement of every particle is same in direction and magnitude, then we say that the body is in translational motion. The velocity of every particle of the body is the same at any time. So if above condition is satisfied, obviously the velocity of the particle, every particle of the body is the same in magnitude and direction at any time. So it is the characteristic of translational motion. The example for translational motion is a sliding of a square shaped scale or object on an inclined plane. So now we can see here. So just like this. Here we are taking one a solid, a cubical solid. So now it is being inclined on it it is sliding on an inclined plane. So we see the center of mass. Okay, if we see the center of mass of this, okay, so now if it is the center of mass, the center of mass is traveling in a straight line of motion, and every point, every particle of that body is also traveling in the same straight line of motion. So just like that. So now we see the rotational motion. So the rotational motion, if every particle of the body moves in a circular path and the centers of all the circles lie on a straight line called the axis of rotation. Okay, we say that the body is in rotational motion. So when do we say that body is in rotational motion? If every particle of the body moves in a circular path and the centers of all those circular paths lie on a straight line, so those points form an axis of rotation. So we say that the body is in rotational motion. Whenever the body is in rotational motion, it rotates about one axis. So that axis is called axis of rotation or rotational axis. Now, pure rotation of a rigid body can be described by any of the particles of the body except the particles on the axis of rotation. So the particles other than on the axis moves in circular paths. The particles on axis, they do not move in circular paths. Since they are particle pinpoint, so we cannot identify the trace of the particle. So therefore, they are just like points. So point one over another forms a line. That line is axis of rotation. Except the particles on axis of rotation, so other particles traverse in circular paths, and we can describe the motion of rigid body with the motion of any one particle other than the particle on axis of rotation. So now we see the example for pure rotational motion is the motion of a flywheel and which is fixed to a rigid support or wall. Now we are seeing this picture. Now, so here we are seeing, right. So here we are seeing, and it rotates. So pure rotational motion also. So now we are observing it is rotating in clockwise direction. So just like that, it is pure rotation. So the wheel is rotating about a horizontal axis. Okay, horizontal axis, and axis perpendicular to this screen. What we are seeing or display. Now it is rotational motion, pure rotational motion. So another one is combined motion also. So that means, so at a time the body possesses two motions simultaneously, the translational motion and the rotational motion. So such motion is called, we can say, combined motion. So if we see it, so here we are taking a sphere. The example for that is rolling of sphere on an inclined plane. So here we are observing a sphere and it is an inclined plane. So earlier we have seen only sliding. So here we have seen only rotation. So now we are seeing and sliding as well as rotation. It is the combined motion, the translational rotational motion. The translational rotational motion, now we observe it. So it is rotating at the same time sliding also. So the center of mass is moving in straight line motion, and the every particle of the object other than the center of mass is circulating, okay, is rotating and at the same time advancing in forward direction. Okay, it is a translational rotational motion. Now, so rotational kinematic relations, we see the kinematic relations in rotational motion, therefore they are called as rotational kinematic relations. So here we are taking a reference system. So let us say it is x and y. So we are taking an object, we are taking an object and a point on the object is this identified in yellow color. So if the object is moving in this direction, it is rotating in this direction. So the position of that identified point is this one, the position vector, and it is making some angle theta. Initially it may be, okay, initial it may be 0 at 0 angle, and after some time so it reaches an angle theta. Okay, so it is just like arc length. Okay, if we draw this, if we draw the path of the particle, it is making some arc. Okay, so from the formula, arc length is equal to angle subtended into radius vector, s is equal to theta and into r. But angular position, it is angular position, or we can say angular displacement. So that is theta is equal to s by r radians. Okay, s is the arc length and r is the radius vector. Theta is the angle or angular position or angular displacement. Theta is equal to s by r. You are seeing. So angular velocity omega. So that means omega, angular velocity omega is equal to theta 2 minus theta 1 by t2 minus t1. That means if at particular time t1 time, if it is at a particular angular position theta 1, and after some time theta 2, and it has traversed to another angular position theta 2. So in that case, so angular velocity is equal to change in angular position or angular displacement divided by change in time. So that is theta 2 minus theta 1 by t2 minus t1. So we can write it as delta t and the denominator as delta t. Above one is delta theta and this one is delta t. So according the definition of limit, or if we take the time interval as very small, so the delta theta by delta t is equal to, so d theta by dt. So the angular velocity is defined as d theta by dt. So it is a final expression for angular velocity. Now we see the angular acceleration. So it is a time rate of change of angular velocity. So if at certain time the angular velocity is v1, at time t1 angular velocity is v1, and after some time angular velocity v2. That means at time t2 angular velocity is v2 omega 2. So here instead of v we are writing omega. So angular velocity is omega. Linear velocity is v. But here we are talking about angular velocity. So these are angular velocities only. So omega 2 minus omega 1 divided by t2 minus t1, and again we are writing it as delta omega by delta t. So according the similar definition, limit delta tends to 0, delta omega by delta t is equal to, so d omega by dt. So now the angular acceleration alpha is equal to d omega by dt. So these are the letters used to represent the corresponding quantities in angular rotational motion. So angular position or angular displacement is theta, and angular velocity omega, angular acceleration alpha. So rotation with constant angular acceleration. Now we are going to derive the kinematic relations in rotational motion. So if the body is rotating with constant angular acceleration, so alpha is constant. Alpha is constant. So that means the change in angular velocity in equal time intervals is same. Okay. So wherever you consider the time interval, in, in that time interval, the change in angular velocity is same. So in that case, we say that constant angular acceleration. So mathematically, if alpha is constant from this equation, so d omega is equal to alpha dt, and we are integrating on both sides. So the initial angular velocity is omega naught, and the final angular velocity is omega. So therefore, we are integrating by applying appropriate limits. Okay, in case of angular velocity, initial lower limit is initial velocity, that is omega naught, initial angular velocity omega naught, and upper limit is angular velocity at time t, that is omega. So these are the time limits. Initially at the time of starting it is 0, and after some time t we are applying these limits. Okay, if we integrate this and apply the limits, integration of d omega is omega, and by applying the limits we get omega minus omega naught, so that is equal to alpha into t minus 0. From that we are getting omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t. See, it is equation number 1. We are giving the number for this as equation number 1. So, so that is when the object is moving with constant acceleration, we can get that equation. So if the object is moving with constant angular velocity omega, so omega is equal to d theta by dt. We know this relation from above slide, and we are writing the LHS. The LHS as d theta by dt, and RHS is same, omega naught plus alpha t. So now we are sending this dt in denominator towards RHS. So d theta is equal to omega naught dt plus alpha t into dt. So this one omega naught is also constant. So the initial velocity of the object, and initially we can, since we are taking this as initially it is having some velocity at the time of consideration. So therefore we are fixing it as constant. Okay. After that, it may vary. It may vary. Obviously, there is some constant acceleration. Definitely, the angular velocity varies as time progresses. So initially, it was a value. So now, so d theta is equal to this equation. Now we are applying the limits accordingly. So initially, the theta is 0. That means we have seen from earlier diagram here. So we are starting from here. So initially it is 0, theta is 0, and after some time, so it has reached theta. So similarly, time also here 0. Whenever it reaches this point, the time elapsed is t. So according that we are applying. So the limits of theta are from 0 to theta, and the limits of time is from 0 to t. So similarly here also the same limits for time. Now integration of dt. So here integration of d theta is theta, and by applying limits theta minus 0, that is equal to, here integration of dt is t. By applying the limits we get here omega naught t, and here the integration, there should be some t here, t is missed. Okay, t into dt is equal to t square by 2, t square by 2 actually. So there is the limits 0 and t, therefore by applying the limits we get this. So theta is equal to omega naught t plus of alpha t square. So it is the equation for angular displacement of a rotating body. So this equation 1 is the equation which tells the angular velocity of a rotating body. So we see the next equation. So from equation 1 we can write t is equal to omega minus omega naught. So it was our equation here. So if we see here, we are bringing this towards LHS, omega minus omega naught, and t is equal to omega minus omega naught by, so alpha. Here we are seeing. Substituting this t value in equation 2. Here we are having the equation 2. So in this equation we are substituting t value. By substituting the t value accordingly, theta is equal to omega naught, and the t value is written here of alpha t square. So we have to simplify it. So in the numerator we get alpha times omega minus omega naught whole square. In the denominator of second term we get 2 alpha square, and alpha is common. Alpha is there as multiplier and it is cancelled, and here also, so in the denominator alpha is there. So here 2 alpha is there in the denominator, here alpha is there only. So I am totally multiplying and simplifying it. We get 2 alpha into theta is equal to omega square minus omega naught square. Now, so I am manipulating it just like this. The same equation, omega square minus omega naught square is equal to 2 alpha theta. So it is also the kinematic equation in rotational motion. Now we can compare the kinematic equations in rotational motion with those in translational motion. So these are very familiar equations. Kinematic equations are equations of motion in translational motion. So it is the displacement, the linear displacement s is equal to ut plus half at square. Here s is the displacement, u is the initial velocity, v is the final velocity, a is the acceleration, and t is the time. So therefore here s is equal to ut plus half at square. In this case, angular displacement is theta, initial angular velocity is omega naught, and final angular velocity is omega, and angular acceleration is alpha. So all quantities are, the equations are same in form. They are not varying. So they are exactly same in form. So in place of linear displacement, we are getting angular displacement. In place of linear initial velocity, we are getting angular initial velocity. So here we are having linear acceleration, here we are having angular acceleration. So just like that. So here s is equal to ut plus half at square. Correspondingly, theta is equal to omega naught t plus of alpha t square. where V is equal to U plus AT, omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t. Here V square minus U square is equal to 2as. Here omega square minus omega naught square is equal to 2 alpha theta. Okay, these are the equations in both motions, the translational and rotational motions. These are the kinematic equations. So in this video, we have seen what is a rigid body. So the rigid body is defined as if there is no change in the distance between any two particles of it under any condition, that is rigid body. So it is an ideal concept. We cannot find a rigid body with 100% satisfaction. That means by fulfilling the definition. And the types of motions, the translational motion and rotational motion. In translational motion, every point of the object displaces in the same direction by same magnitude. Okay, or we can say the velocity of every point of the object is same in magnitude and direction. So that is translational motion. Rotational motion means so every point of the object moves in circular path, and the centers of those circular paths form a form an axis, that is axis of rotation. So in that case we say that the object is in rotational pure rotational motion. Okay, so there are the chances for objects to have the two motions at a time. In that case we say that it is having combined motion. So the translational motion as well as rotational motion. So we have seen those examples. So it is the example for translational motion. So it is the example for pure rotational motion. Above one is example for pure translational motion, and this one is for pure rotational motion, and this is the example for rotational as well as translational motion. Okay. After that, we have seen the angular displacement theta, that is equal to arc length by radius vector, and the angular velocity omega is equal to the change in angular displacement in unit time. So that is angular velocity, and angular acceleration, the rate of change of angular velocity is angular acceleration. Similarly, that one. After that, we have derived the kinematic equations in rotational motion. So the first equation is omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t, and second equation is so angular displacement theta is equal to omega naught t plus of alpha t square, and the final one omega square minus omega naught square is equal to 2 alpha theta. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to channel